Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Derwin, and I'm here with Shane Buell. And in today's video, we're going to be covering the fires going on all around the world in the U.S. as well as other countries, and then go into the aftermath videos and images of the Oklahoma fires. And then we're going to close out on some recent footage that was sent to me from the Palisades fire. So I'll let Shane go into the international fires going on in other countries.
All right. Thanks, Tracy. So, yeah, some of our viewers have said, why is it just the United States, which seems to be on fire? Well, that's actually not true. There is actually fires all over the world. And I had to go to the NASA FIRMS site, which is Fire Information for Resource Management, Fire Information Resource Management System. And this one actually does show hotspots and fires all over the world. So if you are outside the United States, I do recommend this one at least, to see where they are. It doesn't give you a lot of information. It doesn't give you alerts. It's not necessarily the most accurate. But if you are outside of the U.S., then this is a decent site to use. However, if you are in the U.S., I highly recommend a site called livingatlas.arcgis.com. And this is way better than some of the other ArcGIS maps. This one actually includes a lot of information, including, not just the size of the fire, but how many people live in the evacuation areas and so forth. And it also gives you a total for each view. So in this view of North America, you can see that there are 753 fires burning. And I believe that's just in the United States, because I think this app actually only covers the United States. But that's a tremendous amount of fires. That's probably the most I've ever seen. And I've never tried to cover so many fires at once before. So bear with me. All right, we're going to start in the Appalachia area. So in the Appalachian Mountains, there are several fires burning all the way from, between Alabama and West Virginia. There's several fires in West Virginia, some in Virginia, lots in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, even a couple in Tennessee. So the ones we're going to look at right now are the complex of fires that are in Polk County, North Carolina, which is not far from Asheville. It's the county adjacent to uh, the county that contains Asheville, North Carolina. And this is the area where Hurricane Helene was hit. We have a complex of three fires: the Black Cove fire, the Deep Woods fire, and the Fishhook fire. The Black Cove and Deep Woods fires are both close to 3,000 acres each, which makes this fire complex total almost 6,000 acres. And these fires are almost uncontained, and these are ones to keep an eye on. There are evacuations in this area, and there are actually structures in vehicles that have been impacted, especially in the Fishhook fire. All right. There's also fires in Table Rock, South Carolina. This fire is over 1,300 acres, also almost no containment, and it's burning a really well-known, really well-known tourist area. It's a beautiful area, this Table Rock. We also have fires and evacuations in Floyd County, Georgia. These are mandatory evacuations just northwest of Atlanta. We also have fires in Colorado. There are a couple of fires in Aurora, Colorado on the east side of Denver, and there's also a fire in Berthoud, Colorado as well. I also want to give an update on the South Florida fire. This is the one that we covered in our previous video. It is now over 26,000 acres, but is now 80% contained. This map actually has a very accurate burn scar or burn zone map. And you can see that once it got to Sound Card Road, it barely jumped Sound Card Road. And then for some reason, it jumped very, very, very far in order to end up on the other side of US 1. It almost looks to me like that it could possibly be done by embers, but it's almost suspicious whether this could be arson or something else altogether. It's really strange that it burned just enough to close both of those roads. All right. We also have fires overseas in South Korea, where they had 16 incidents in Saturday alone, which caused over 200 people to evacuate in 15 different villages. Now, earlier this month, they finally contained a fire that was burning in Japan. The fire in Ofunato, Japan, had burned over 7,100 acres, after evacuating 4,500 people. We also have fires in western North Carolina. Here, this is one you can see here. And then here's another where the entire hillside is on fire. And I also have some anomalies that I want to go to here in western North Carolina as well. So here we have on the left, you can see an old beetle, which is very rusted. It looks like it has undergone what I call rapid oxidation, which is where the metal rusts very instantly. It seems to be an electrolysis effect, actually, where high voltages of electricity actually strip electrons from the metals and cause them to go into an oxidized state. And it does so very rapidly. So what we see after some of these fires are oxidation patterns that look like months worth of rust, but in a matter of days. I also wanted to point out the melted aluminum here. You can see there's some propped up against the car, which may or may not be from the car because this car has steel rims. But we can see on the right side that there is a river of what was once molten aluminum, and it has flowed probably 15 to 20 feet away from the machinery that it was part of. This is probably some sort of engine block or something, which has melted and ran over 20 feet away. Now, the aluminum has to reach over 1,200 degrees to get into a liquid state like this, more likely 1,400 degrees to flow as a runny liquid. And it probably maintained that temperature over the entire distance that you see here, which is very strange for a grass fire, which only burns at about 900 degrees maximum. Okay, this is from Lake Adger, North Carolina. This is damage from the fishhook fire. This is a house that was reduced to completely white ash, and there's almost nothing remaining except for, say, that blue planter and a handful of trees around. Doesn't look like any of the trees have actually been damaged, although there is a burnt spot in the grass. Okay, also in Lake Adger, North Carolina, you can see that this car is missing most of its glass. And if you look at the back window, there is a little bit of it draped there over where the back seat would be. I have a better view of this. You can see that the glass did not break. It actually melted as a single piece and is draped over the back seat. All right, so yeah, that does it for North Carolina. But I also want to show some videos that we have of these random areas as well. This first video is out of Arkansas. This is in Joplin, Arizona, or Joplin, Arkansas, where you can see the car has been completely burned out and the hood was missing even. And then this is a tree that was burnt from the inside. I'm slowing it down here so you can see it a little bit better, that the fire is actually on the inside of this tree, which is the opposite of how trees normally burn, which is from the outside in. Here's another tree from the Ozarks, which started on the inside and it burnt to holes onto the outside. But yeah, these flames on the outside of the tree are actually coming from holes that are on the, inside of the tree.
And I do want to let our viewers know that we went into detail in our video with Robert Brame, the arborist. So we'll put that at the end screen and link it in the description if you guys want to hear all about, why these trees are burning in this unusual way.
Yeah, Robert Brame is an arborist with over 50 years experience. And if anyone should know how trees burn and how they don't burn, it would be him. All right, I have another anomaly. This one is out of Iowa. This is a smoke nado. Now, I can't tell if the image is mirrored or not, but it appears to be an anticyclonic smoke nado, which is rotating clockwise as opposed to counterclockwise like it should in the northern hemisphere. Now, once again, that could be just from a mirrored video. I see this all the time. Where people will have their video backwards. So that could be the case, but still it's an anomaly nonetheless. All right, so now I want to go to some news clips that we have from South Carolina, North Carolina, and New Jersey.
Overnight, a blaze burning at Table Rock State Park in South Carolina, growing to more than 1,000 acres. As crews tackle the tough terrain with critical water drops from the air.
This is an unusually high fire occurrence fire season than we've had in quite a while.
In neighboring North Carolina, 3 active wildfires are burning, triggering mandatory evacuations in the western part of the state.
We called in multiple fire departments to come assist us.
Officials warning residents living close to the flames to leave now or risk being trapped, even killed. Those fires hitting areas still recovering from Hurricane Helene 6 months ago. Farther up the East Coast in New Jersey, a wildfire that erupted Saturday in Wharton State Forest is now largely contained, but not before flames scorch more than 2,300 acres. Back in South Carolina, with the wildfires not letting up, officials hope they'll get a little help from Mother Nature. Now, the rain that we are seeing right now should definitely help with the firefight, but officials say that they're running into another challenge. All the debris and trees that fell during Hurricane Helene 6 months ago is actually fueling these flames.
Yeah, so you saw there, they said they're having an unusual fire season, and they're attributing it to the debris that was left over from Helene, because remember, this area was just hit less than 6 months ago by a very devastating hurricane. All right. I did want to point out one little thing from that video, and that was a tree in New Jersey that has a perfect ring of fire around it, but you can see there's no embers flying, and there doesn't appear to be any other hot spots in this area. Now, that could be a natural burn pattern if an ember happened to land at the base of the tree, but to me, it almost looks unusual because we've seen this burn pattern before, and it actually seems to be electrical or plasma in nature. But where the tree meets the ground is where it catches fire. And it burns in a little perfect circle around the tree. And it's really unusual, if you ask me. All right. I do have another short clip. This was actually out of Berthoud, Colorado. And this actually kind of shows, like we showed in a previous video, how the Oklahoma fires were predicted ahead of time. But I also want to show this clip from Colorado about how they also knew this was coming.
We were concerned about this before this fire started. These red flag days are always troublesome for us.
So they were concerned about it before the fire started, and he said these red flag days are always trouble for us, you know. So it seems like more often than not now, when you have a dry area that gets wind, it also catches fire. All right. So now I want to go into some of the clips from Oklahoma, and then I'm going to show some of the damage from there as well.
Less than a week after Friday's historic wildfires, the Davenport family recounting it all.
I've never seen anything move so fast. It was like a horizontal blowtorch of flame. It's unique. I don't know what to even say.
As the flames crept closer, Jason Davenport says he ran inside to save his 2 dogs, but came face to face with first responders already inside.
The next thing I feel is 2 firemen. They had a hold of my arms, and luckily, my wife too, and shoved us in a vehicle that was right here.
It's not the first tragedy to strike the family. The Davenports also survived the 2013 Moore tornado.
All 4 of us were there in the tornado and rode it out in the same home in the center hallway. Even though it was a struggle and a nightmare, we were able to rebuild. There's not a single salvageable item on this entire acreage.
The city of Norman says 7 homes were lost. Despite their losses, the family says their lives are the ultimate gift.
We're just so grateful that they're still here and they get the chance to still be with our children and their grandchildren.
Surviving is the most important thing.
All right. So yeah, that particular family in Norman, Oklahoma had actually been through the last F5 tornado that there ever was. That hit Norman and Moore, Oklahoma in 2013. But now they're also victims of this wildfire. And it's very coincidental that a lot of the areas that got hit by severe storms last Friday are also now having fires.
And then I just picked up on something he said. He said horizontal blowtorch. I remember those being reported in Lahaina. The fires,
yes, that was
like a blowtorch.
Yeah, that was almost exactly word for word what people in Maui were saying, the very same thing. All right, so now I'm going to go through some clips of the fire behavior here in Oklahoma, and then I'm also going to show some damage indicators as well. So that flag that you just saw there, I'm going to rewind this and show it again. So look at that flag. It's very close to the house, yet it's completely intact. And that's very surprising because everything else around, at least in that area, was completely burned to the ground. Everything flammable had burned except for the flag. That tells me that the flag was probably made of some sort of microwave safe material. All right, and then we have some more footage to show here. This is that same neighborhood, and you can see how the flames are burning rather evenly, especially around all the window edges and everything. And this house, okay, on the left is smoking, but is not on fire. There are no visible flames on that house. And then you can see how evenly these top boards are burning along the walls there, also an anomaly that we've seen before. And then this house in the center that's on fire only has flames coming out of the window Doesn't appear that there is any flames actually on the outside of this particular house. And then here's another view of those upper beams that are burning completely evenly. And then here's a house that has been reduced into mostly white ash. And then this car is missing its hood. We've seen that many, many times, where a lot of even doors and other body panels are completely gone, which indicates much higher than your natural forest fire temperature. All right, so now I'm going to get into some of these images from Oklahoma. I'm just going to show that in Oklahoma, over 537 homes were lost among these various 6 counties, with the highest of the damage being in Payne County, where Stillwater and Manford are located. Okay, so among them is a historic church that was in Oklahoma. You can see this is the church beforehand, and the stair handrails actually look to be really in really good condition. But this church actually did also catch fire from the inside. There's video of it smoking before it actually caught any flames on the outside, which is very anomalous. And then here's what the church looked like after. So you can see these handrails, which are steel handrails, are actually warped and drooped a little bit. Now, judging by how they looked before, it looks like they had been heated to about 2,700 to 3,000 degrees to soften the steel in order to bend it like that. All right. We also have a home in Norman, Oklahoma that has been reduced to mostly white ash. The only structures even partially standing are made of brick, and even most of the metals are not in very good shape. So yeah, everything has been completely reduced to ash and rubble. We also have a car and a home in Norman, Oklahoma. This is from that previous video. And if you look closely, you can see that the rims are missing, and there is some puddled aluminum where the rims would have been. Now, as far as rims that are not aluminum, this is a steel rim, and you can see the braids or cords of a steel belted radial, which remains. So the tire has burned away, but it left only the steel of the tires behind. Now, these are steel beams that are the frame or foundation of what would be like a double wide or a mobile home. These are steel beams, and you can see they are bent and or twisted in some of these cases. That indicates, like I said, temperatures of 2,700 to 3,000 degrees. Here's some more twisted steel beams. And we also have this either heat pump or central air unit in the front. And the reason I included this is to show you the state of oxidation of this unit. It looks like it's been sitting there rusting for months when the fire just happened like last week, basically. That's another example of rapid oxidation, in my opinion, due to electrolysis. And then here's another house that has been reduced to a white ash footprint. You can see there are a couple of, I guess, metal appliances that are still there, but everything else has been completely burned away. There is not a single piece of wood and or porcelain. I don't see a tub, and I don't see a toilet or a sink anywhere in that picture. All right, so I think that covers most of the anomalies that I found in Oklahoma. But we still have some more to discuss about Oklahoma, because I did find something that's very interesting. So there is a Stillwater Strong Relief Fund, and it's very reminiscent of the Maui Strong Relief Fund and the Paradise Strong Relief Fund. It seems like the relief fund that gets the most traction and the most public exposure and the most donations is usually one that has the name of Strong. And this is actually named after Maurice Strong, whose legacy is who these, I guess, relief organizations get their name from. And it is a legacy to him. He actually was one of the co-founders of the World Economic Forum. He was the mentor to Klaus Schwab, as well as the president of the UN Environmental Program. We do go into it in our book, but I just wanted to explain that he is responsible for setting up a system of creating NGOs and activist groups to try to amplify the voice of the UN as if it were grassroots. We do cover that more in our book, which is called Sound the Alarm. And it's the playbook for how they are using, the playbook they are using to seize land through disaster. And you can get that at the MAUIbook.com. We have also touched on the smart cities in the past. And we included how Stillwater, Oklahoma is part of the Oklahoma 2030 Strategic Vision Plan, but there are also plans for a proposed data center that's going on in Stillwater. And so I looked at the location of this data center, and it is going on in Stillwater near Perkins Road. And I compared that to the evacuation zone, which is not a direct match, but it is adjacent. So it's actually very close. And we've seen this actually happen before, how you'll have a proposed development zone and a fire will burn right up to the edges of it. So we've seen that once again. All right, I think that actually covers everything except for this news clip that I want to show about Stillwater Strong.
As the community prepares for what's next, the city is standing on being Stillwater strong. In Stillwater, Hunter Elise, Oklahoma's News 4.
Stillwater Strong. There's a donation link on the United Way of Payne County website if you'd like to help those affected by the fire.
All right. So one other thing I wanted to show is a clip from Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. A lot of our viewers have mentioned them to us in the past, and I have followed them, and this video was actually very good. So I'm going to play a clip from it now.
All right, hope you guys are doing okay out there. We had the big storms roll through the Midwest last night. Fires broke out in Oklahoma. I'm going to try to explain to you why these fires are not random. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll get a better understanding on where we're going. And man, are we getting there fast. It's getting faster and faster. I explained to you guys that 2025 was going to be very fast with a lot of stuff going on. We are on a plan, and it is being executed every single day, and Trump, I'm afraid, is not going to save us, okay? So you have to stay vigilant and keep your head in the game. And if you guys didn't know that Google announced that it was going to set a data center in Stillwater, you could probably Google that information.
According to Coco, Stillwater, Oklahoma, Google has acquired land at the intersection of Perkins and Richmond Roads for the future development of a data center campus, according to a news release. The area was zoned for industrial use, and city officials told Coco 5 in October that there could be 6 phases for 6 data centers.
Also, what they're doing with all this chaos is they're taking the data that they're getting from it, like the fires, right? How we're evacuating, how we respond, who stays, who goes, and they're feeding that into their AI, so that way when the systems want to move more people, they'll have a better understanding on how we act and react. I know it's hard to wrap your head around to think that they're actually out to do this to us intentionally, okay? Intentionally. I know that's so hard to wrap your head around, but that's why they're making everything look like these natural events, and that's just what's going on, and oh, it's just so terrible. And to this day, by the way, for the record, no one's repairing anything in California. Maui is still sitting there, pretty much, and nothing's going on in North Carolina. South Carolina has broken out with a bunch of fires now as well, which is also slated to be a 15-minute city there. I'm not making this stuff up. They are openly talking about it all the time. I just don't want you guys to put your guard down, right? I don't want you to think Trump and Junior and these people, Kash Patel and all these people, they're going to save you, because that's part of the psychology, right? The psychological warfare that we're in, is that they want you to be complacent, thinking that they're taking care of everything. Meanwhile, the plan is marching full steam ahead. Keep up on your preps. Don't let your guard down. Share this video with your friends so they can kind of understand that the fires that we're seeing, they're not random. Why do all the fires happen to be in cities that are slated for the 15-minute program? And by the way, we've tried 15-minute cities before. They were called projects.
Very interesting statement he ended with.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want me to start with the Palisades images? And
yeah, that's all I have for today.
Okay. So I'm going to go into the footage and images from the Palisades. This was from March 12th, so about 2 months after the fires in LA started. And I'll start out with this image here. I got some burn marks at the bottom of these trees. And it's interesting to see that the leaves are still fairly intact, and it seems like the bottoms are burned more. You can see here it's like really black at the bottom and not so much at the top. We saw this very clearly in Camarillo. Also, this is the neighbor's house. So her house is still standing and did not suffer a lot of damage, but the houses surrounding them did. And then I am going to, I don't have a lot to say. I just wanted to show you guys, kind of give you guys an idea of what the Palisades looks like now. And I thought this was interesting because you can see here along the windows, there are burn marks or like blackish stains indicating that there was a fire inside the house, not on the outside of the house. And this is something we saw while the fire was going on. And I have a clip of it right here. This is from LA. So just inside, the outside seems to be just fine. And again, this is something we see with these fires very often. Okay, and then I have a couple of clips from the Palisades. This is of, again, the base of trees.
Again, it's at the base of the trees. See how it burns just at the base of these trees.
I'll play that one more time.
Again, it's at the base of the trees. See how it burns just at the base of these trees.
And those are not typical burn patterns of trees. And then here's another clip while she was driving around. I just want to give you guys an idea of kind of what it looks like now. So a lot of the houses are still standing, but you're not allowed to live in this area, mainly because the utilities are not working. And they do warn of toxicity. So that's a big concern right now. But I do know of families who lost their homes that are planning to rebuild. And a lot of people are not sure what they're going to do. So not a ton of cleanup, but there are, people at work cleaning up these properties. And similar to Maui, you cannot go to this area unless you are a resident and you have a pass. So yeah, it's a very secured area. I believe the same in Altadena, but I know for sure the Palisades is guarded. Okay, and I think, was there anything else that I was going to share about LA?
I think that's probably everything we had for LA. I just wanted to point out that I thought the leaves on that bush were really strange because they were dried out, but they were still attached to the branches. Why didn't they burn as opposed to, dried to a crisp, it looks like?
Right. They could have been green and maybe dried out more recently because this is 2 months after those things burned too. So that's also.
That's true. And I also think that if the bush itself was damaged by being burned at the base, you would think it would affect the entire bush all the way up, but it seems to have only affected the leaves at the bottom.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and like, comment, and share this video so we can let people know what's really happening. So with that, thank you guys, and we'll see you all soon.